Are we live?
We are on air, Tommy.
Okay, good.
Hey, how about that? Okay, folks. The trade-off of living in the boondocks is some of us don't have very fast internet and a whole lot of bandwidth. So apparently we ran into bandwidth issues and with having such a large Hangout. And so we're sorry about that. And so what we've done is we've moved over to Jared Stanley's channel at J&J Acres. And he's got cable internet, so he should be able to handle the load. So here's what we're going to do. We just want to have an opportunity to introduce ourselves, introduce our guests, which I guess we're now Jared's guests, but anyway, we're just all kind of bamboozled. Take it easy on us. This is our first go, and we're going to have some technical issues, and we've proved that already. So this is my lovely wife, Patty. I'm Tommy with Alderman Farms. Also with us is Jared Stanley of J&J Acres and Margie Fuller of Margie's Cottage Kitchen. And the first thing we're going to do is allow each of us to just tell you a little bit about who we are, what we do, and if appropriate, how we got here, things of that nature. And then we'll just see what happens after that. So, Jared, since you've been kind enough to host the Hangout now, I'm going to let you go first and tell us a little bit about Jared Stanley, J&J Acres, and it's all yours, sir.
Okay. Well, Jared Stanley is very anal retentive, so I'm kind of tied up trying to make sure this is actually working and not just a technology fib that's trying to make us all happy. So I guess in a short story of a really long one is Jennifer and I, we've been married for just a little over 10 years. She's from Los Angeles, and I'm from many different places along the East Coast. And one thing that has always been an interest of ours is having a place out in the country, away from everything. Kind of the catchphrase, if you will, that's always kind of symbolized what we really wanted is we want to live someplace we could see the stars. It was really just that simple. We wanted to go outside and not see street lights. I mean, for that purpose, I don't have a security light out on my light posts even. We want to see the stars, and we want to be in the country. We want to hear the sounds. We want to experience every little bit of it. And so about 4.5 years ago, we purchased this property. We had a house placed on it, and we have just been learning life lessons ever since. We've had a horse, we've had a donkey, we have had chickens, and we currently have goats, ducks, and rabbits, and of course dogs and cats, and these other little creatures. Oh, they're called children. We've got them running around all over the place as well. So.
Where'd you go? There we go.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, because I had muted myself while Jared was talking. Jared, you mentioned that you wanted to immerse yourself in all the sights and the sounds. I didn't hear you say anything about the smells. I'm still not hearing you say anything about the smells.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. The smells, there are some that are actually quite pleasing. I mean, my wife and I both enjoy going out to a horse farm and the scents that go along with that. But I tell you, a Muscovy duck, if you get near it and it's had a little too much manure, it's not very pleasant. So the smells, there's the ones that you enjoy, but there's the others that you just rather plug your nose and walk by.
I understand. Speaking of pleasant smells, what was it, Patty, you smelled this afternoon when you were walking over here? You remember?
Oh, yep, I can't call the name.
Honeysuckle.
Honeysuckles.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it smelled so good.
It was nice. And plus, we've also had the smell of fire, which is a favorite smell of ours, is the smell of an open fire. And we've been burning some old rotten wood and so forth. So great, Jared, thank you. So we'll turn it over now to Margie Fuller of Margie's Cottage Kitchen and let her tell us a little bit about herself and her many hats.
Thank you very much, Tommy. Can you hear me? I guess just nod if you can't. All right, there we go. Fortunately, the smells at Margie's Cottage Kitchen are nothing like that duck that JJ or Jared mentioned. Fortunately, it smells very good around Margie's Cottage Kitchen most of the time. We don't have a burn debacle for some reason. So, just tell you a little bit about me. My name is Margie Fuller, and I'm married to Jeff. We have a 9-month-old baby, and I wanted to be able to stay home with my child. So, the new cottage food laws, which will vary from state to state, that's one thing that I'll be talking quite a bit about on my channel, which is my YouTube 912, and it's a home for my many hats. Because I talk about a lot of different things. There isn't just one specific thing that I will cover. So the cottage food just opened the door for me to be able to have the cottage kitchen here, and being able to sell to the community definitely has given me an outlet to see other adults, not just baby's wonderful. Trust me, I love it. But it is great to still be in contact with other adults. And of course, I've started our own small little garden based on the Back to Eden principle, and we've started really small with just a couple of little raised beds, but that's something too that I'll be learning quite a bit about from Tommy and Jared and Pepper. Of course, we'll be sharing a lot of other resources with you along the way, but that's what's going on at Margie's Cottage Kitchen. Just a lot of baking. Mother's Day got me booked for Mother's Day, so I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. Yeah. I'm not sure, Margie, if we have. Well, I know we haven't actually compared detailed notes, but I know you're aware that Mississippi, which is where we are, by the way, recently passed a cottage food bill that gave freedoms and protections to home bakers in our state. I don't think that it was quite as beneficial to the cottage bakers and cooks as it was in Georgia, where yours was passed. But we were excited about that because one of the things that we do here, I say we, it's mostly Patty. Patty's a member of the board of the local farmers market here, and she's known as the bread lady. She bakes homemade bread and rolls, and it's quite popular with her clientele, regular customers that come looking for her. Thanks, guys. So, again, I'm Tommy Alderman, my wife Patty. We've been married, it'll be 26 years this year, and we've got 4 kids. We've almost managed to get them all out of the house. Halfway. We've got 2 of them gone and 2 of them still here. I was joking with him the other day. There's a child psychologist, I guess he's still around, named John Rosemont. I used to get a kick out of what he said about the number one purpose of parents is to get their kids out of their house, and which in a way it's true, to raise them up to where they can be on their own 2 feet and succeed in the world. So we are proud Pawpaw and Money. It was going to be Pawpaw and Meemaw, but Meemaw came out Money, and that's just fine with Money. And we have an 18-month-old grandson, Tomas, and who is just our heart, and we love him. So here's a little bit about how we got here. I can tell you how I got here, and it's because of her. I grew up a city boy, and so, not really a city boy, but a suburban boy. Spent 15 years on my hometown law enforcement agency in Baker, Louisiana, and I met Patty, and Patty also grew up in Baker. And what did your dad instill in you?
Just a love for the country, to the outdoors.
Yeah, one of Patty's, Patty lost her dad when she was young, but one of her favorite memories is camping trips. They used to have one of those trucks with a big tall camper on the back of it, that I can remember seeing when I was a kid. And so I never spent much time camping as a kid. I mean, my dad and I would go on overnight fishing trips a few times, but Patty loved to camp, and so because I loved her, I said, okay, we'll camp. And we we found a very nice camping spot. Just turns out a few miles from where we are right now, but that was just a coincidence. And I don't know how many times we went there, and suddenly one day, I think we may have been there, and I said, Patty, I've got some property. My family's got property not too many miles from right here.
Yeah, you tell me about that when we were camping up here.
We were, yeah, okay. So hey, you want to go look at it? So, and she said, yeah, and it was love at first sight, and almost the rest is history. I mean, we didn't decide to move right at that moment, but this story could get real long, so I'll just say it wasn't long that we decided this is where we wanted to raise our family. We live on 116 acres of land that nobody ever bought. It's been in the family for over 150 years. It was part of a full section of land that was granted to my great-great-grandfather back in the 18, I don't remember exactly, that we haven't found those records, but what a blessing. And so we had actually started with a little homesteading activity in Louisiana before we moved up here. The last place we lived in Louisiana, we were just a few doors down from Mr. Thomas Carl Stump Easley. You can read a little bit about him on our website, on our acknowledgments page. You can read about Patty's grandfather, my father, and about Mr. Stump on that page. He's the one that taught us about dairy goats, and taught me how to set a corner post without concrete, and taught us all kind of handy things, and really instilled in us a love for the homesteading life. So I've already talked too long. That's how we ended up here, and it's just been a growing process since then, as we've wanted to expand what we've done. Let me say this: our original purpose for wanting the goats, wanting to grow our own vegetables, was health and economics. When in Louisiana, when a gallon of milk went to $4, we thought, no, if we're going to spend that much for milk, it's going to be quality milk. And so we knew getting goats wouldn't be cheaper than buying milk in the store, but at least the money we were paying for feed and whatnot would be producing good and healthy milk. And we've never regretted that. And as time has gone on, we still appreciate the health benefits of growing our own food, raising our animals, and so forth. But because of the economy and all of that, it's become also important to be as self-sufficient as possible. So anyway, guys, anything else that you've thought about in terms of your journey or whatnot?
Well, I'm sure there's 1,000 things I could share, but before we get sidetracked, I think it's important I'm going to throw a little comment up here. And Tommy,
Yeah.
since you've actually had the opportunity of visiting Pepper, if you wouldn't mind giving a little intro for him.
Yeah, thanks, and I'm glad you reminded me. I actually thought about it in the middle of my long-winded dissertation and then forgot by the time I finished. Pepper Bradford of Pepper's Plants is another one of my neighbors, so to speak, in the northern part of the state. In fact, 3 out of the 4 of us are Mississippi folks. Margie's our Georgia peach, and but Pepper is a guy who the guy knows more about tomatoes and vegetation than he's a walking encyclopedia. I had the opportunity to stop by his place, because it turns out the home office for my full-time employer is not far from his little homestead. I got 2 beautiful Jersey calves. He's got 2 fine-looking young sons. I remember, it may have been a daughter, Pepper, forgive me, if I'm not counting right, and a lovely wife. And they all wear purple and gold. Go Tigers. That's for you, Pepper. Go Tigers. I knew we were going to hit it off when I found out he was a devoted LSU fan. But anyway, Pepper was with us when we tried to do this starting at 8 o'clock, and Pepper had bandwidth issues just like I do, so he had to bow out for this one. But we'll get him on air sooner or later. We may have to go down to McDonald's like we do. We actually started. I told Jared I may have to go to Ward's in town and order a root beer or something and do this live from Ward's or McDonald's or something and take advantage of their bandwidth. But Anyway, check out Pepper on the web at Pepper's Plants, Pepper's YouTube channel. It's Pepper's Plants, and great personality. He show you some of his cheese making and other things he's got going on. He's I know that as the spring progresses, he's preparing his big high tunnel thing, which is amazing, and he's got his soil is heated, and so he's just going to have his crops are going to go crazy. He was about ready to turn his cows in there on the inside to mow down the old growth and to get the ground ready. So I'm excited for updates that he'll be bringing to us probably in the not too distant future.
Thanks, Tommy. I didn't want to forget him there.
No, I'm glad you didn't. Here's something that I know Margie mentioned it. You may have too, but one of the things we're most excited about is the Back to Eden method of gardening. Folks, if you're watching this either now or on the tape delay and you haven't watched the film at backtoedenfilm.com, backtoedenfilm.com, do yourself a favor and watch that. I would also tell you, do yourself a favor and get the DVD or download it or whatever you have to do so that you can refer back to it. Why is that important? Because you need to follow the directions. If you don't follow the directions, it ain't going to work like it's supposed to. How do I know that? Because I didn't follow the directions.
You burn plants.
And I burned my plants. I just got hasty. I was in a hurry. Man, I got to make this happen. I didn't get the amount of mulch I was expecting. My source seemed to kind of dry up. Oh yeah, we're gonna bring you all the mulch you want. You're gonna have to run us off. Well, he must thought I run him off because they brought 2 loads and never came back. But we didn't put down compost before we applied the mulch. We just didn't do what we were supposed to do. I'm happy to report that our remediation efforts so far seem to be working. We went and dug out the mulch from around every plant that we had planted in there, and I compacted, or not compacted, but replaced that mulch with good composted manure and some good dirt and
Bone meal.
some bone meal. We added a little bone meal because bone meal is a good source of nitrogen, and the green has returned. We see. I'm not going to say it has returned. It is returning. So the Back to Eden film, I've seen people all over YouTube for whom it is working wonders. Texas Prepper was one of the early adopters on YouTube, and there's just too many testimonies out there that it works. But guess what? If you want it to work as indicated, you have to do it as indicated and not get ahead of yourself. So noted.
Tommy, I want to get up on a soapbox about that for a minute.
Go ahead.
2 things about it. First one is I think we all get caught up on what kind of method of gardening because we're all trying to find out what's going to work. We don't want to go through weeks and months worth of effort and find out that the plant didn't survive or it didn't produce its fruit or it didn't do something right. And so we're all constantly out there trying to find some kind of answer for how the best way to garden is. And one of the things that, and I really honestly can't remember if Paul said it in Back to Eden or where I picked it up from, but it's one of those little nuggets that stuck with me, is that they're plants. They want to grow. That's what they're there for. They want to reproduce, and all we have to do is let them. Now, yes, you can go out there and encourage them, and you can do a lot of different things. MHP Gardener is really great YouTuber, and he has got a whole lot of hydroponic setups, and he just blows me away with what he produces. So you can create a higher volume, if you will, by doing something other than just letting the plant grow. But you don't have to do all that stuff. And one of the things that I kind of think happens is, at least for me, I've seen in the past, is I get too caught up on something. I want to sit there and learn every little detail of, well, like last year, I was really interested in square foot gardening, and I wanted to know everything about it. I mean, guys, I'm anal retentive to a fault, and it got down to the point where I had like mapped out exactly how you were going to space out 9 plants in a square foot. It was ridiculous just how detailed I got with it. I'm sorry, somehow people are joining us by video, and I can't figure out how to stop that, so I'm having to block them every time they come in. Anyway, guys, if you want to participate, feel free to add comments and such, but the video portion of this is only supposed to be us 3. So I apologize if you're joining in and feeling put out. That's not what we intend to do. We don't mean to make you feel bad, but we also we're not intending on having 100 people in this. So thank you for being here, but please let us keep the video portion down to us 3 for the time being. So anyway,
Jared, can I jump in there just a second? Just to echo what Jared's saying, we're not trying to be ugly. What we're doing is we don't know what we're doing. And so if we don't know what we're doing with 3 of us, we surely don't know what we're doing with a whole bunch of other people joining. And also, we had bandwidth issues with just 4. And so please forgive us. We're not trying to be exclusive. It's not us 4 no more, or us 3. No, that don't rhyme. But anyway, so bear with us. Please contribute comments, ask questions, and we'll figure out how to do it to where that doesn't happen again in the future. Okay, Jared, I'm sorry.
Give me just a second. For those that have joined, if you want to leave a comment, look to the left side of your screen. You'll see it says chat. Click that chat button there, and you'll be able to chat with us. And I think these people have joined to watch us. I don't know that they're really interested. I've recognized one that wouldn't probably have a lot to add to what we're saying, but would be interested in hearing what we have to say. So
it may have been a technical malfunction on our part. We may have shared the incorrect link with you, so please, we're not trying to blame anybody on this. We're just explaining why we're blocking your video portion of this. So anyway, let me finish this up really quick. The second thing was, so I guess to make the point, the first one is don't get so caught up in one particular method. You're going to gain experience no matter how big or small you attempt to do, and I think almost always you end up with a spin-off of what you originally tried to do, where you tweak something that just didn't quite work right for you, and you never really end up with 100% of what you were setting out to do. So don't get all caught up in imitating what someone else does. Just take away from them the little nuggets that mean something to you, that make sense to you, and give it your own shot. Because remember, back to Eden wasn't a catchphrase until a couple years ago. Square foot gardening wasn't a catchphrase until a couple years ago. And all the other ones, I can't even pronounce half of them. But the reason these guys have their methods is because they went out there, tried something, found what worked for them, and managed to produce a good enough product to market that process. So it's not like it's the end-all, be-all. My second thing is about Back to Eden specifically. One thing I've noticed is people seem to, you watch this 1.5-hour long video, which I have got to say is some exceptionally well-produced video. And then when it's all said and done, it seems like people say, oh, well, I just got to throw wood chips down on the ground. Well, clearly you didn't watch the video. That is not what he says. One of the things I've noticed is I've seen where people have complained about Back to Eden gardening, saying it didn't work for them. And it's because they missed an extremely critical component. The wood chips primarily were there to retain the moisture. And then he was also incorporating chicken manure into a top dressing, which was replenishing most of the nutrients. And I think a lot of people miss that second part. He was fertilizing. It's just organic, natural fertilizer from his chickens, and he feeds his chickens what his garden produces. So that's his permaculture. His garden grows, he feeds his chickens manure, he manures the garden, and the plants grow. And he's got that permaculture circle going perfectly right there. But a lot of people miss that, adding nutrients back into the soil. the worms in the soil will do a certain amount, but they can't do it all by themselves. We've got to maintain the circle. So if you're going to do a method, do all of it. Like Tommy said, watch the video, learn the instructions, and do everything. Don't think that just because, I'm not going to bother fertilizing it. That's not important. There's a reason for the different steps. So I'll get off my soapbox. When I see people complain about Back to Eden and I see what it's doing for me, and I sit there and go, well, you guys didn't put any fertilizer back in the soil. What did you expect? And it just it's a pet peeve of mine.
Okay, well, thanks, Jared, for pointing out once again. I did not do what I was told to do.
Put your chicken poop on the garden.
You're right about that.
And
you're right about that. Go ahead, Margie.
It's not. I think what Jared is also saying isn't just that we need to follow the instructions, but also to feel free to add our own spin to it whenever we, whenever we listen to Paul's video or we watch Paul's video. He talks about how God spoke to him in the garden and how he revealed things to him. Well, the same thing could happen with us as we are working in our gardens, and as things are revealed to us, we need to put those to work, and as we put them to work, we share them with other people, and it just kind of becomes a hybrid, so to speak. Like what I'm doing, because this is the first time I've ever grown a garden, I didn't want to use the one whole side of my yard and fail if I didn't do it right. So I'm kind of combining raised beds along with Back to Eden, and you just try to put things together until you find what works for you.
Sure. Mm-hmm. No, I think that's a good point. It's not like there's a rules committee, a Back to Eden rules committee,
right? And
they're going to come give you demerits, if you do something a little differently. I can tell you what drew me to the method, because is that I'm old. I'm not old yet. I mean, I just turned 50. Patty's not old. She's still a baby. But, so we're not old, but we are getting older. And it seems like every year we get a little older, and every year the garden gets a little bigger. We get a little bit more ambitious, and we don't just have one big garden. We've got 2 big gardens, and Patty's already eyeing other places where we can have a 3rd big garden and plant even other stuff. And one of the things that jumped out at me in watching the film was how the work to harvest ratio became inversely proportional over the course of years. Now, we just started putting our mulch down, so I remember, although I wanted to ignore it, I remember Paul saying that the harvest is in the later years as the chips have the time to do the work on the soil. But I distinctly remember him saying that every year the amount of work he has to put into the garden is less and less, yet his harvest is bigger and bigger. And Jared, you're right about Paul did say, especially in the new applications, that there needed to be, especially nitrogen, added back to the soil. But over the course of years, now that Paul's Back to Eden Garden has been in place for all of these years, he does say this. He says he does fertilize. He does still top dust his mulch with the natural composting material from his chicken yard, but not because he has to. He does it because he has it, and he has to do something with it. Over the course of years, the soil will replenish itself. And if you remember, but not right away, and it's probably going to be a number of years before it gets to that point. And if you remember, the example he gave is you go out into the woods, nobody fertilizes the forest, and things grow wonderfully there, and it's because the nature of the covering over the soil. So we're excited. Hey, lesson learned. This year I'm hoping our plants will recover and that we'll have a harvest. We didn't do exclusively Back to Eden. We've got some traditional, most of our gardening is going to be traditional because we didn't get enough mulch to ruin it all. But hopefully in the years to come, we will establish Back to Eden as our primary gardening method.
So perhaps you ought to call back that wood chipper and thank him. It was a blessing in disguise. He didn't bring you 20 more truckloads.
You know, that's a good point.
I was very thankful because I took off all of my square boxes except for one, and so my tomatoes, and I didn't have a place for my lettuce, and so we're learning through doing the Back to Eden, because I can't imagine how I'm going to grow lettuce in that mulch like it is now, you know. So.
Yeah, like it is now, it probably couldn't happen. You know, so thankfully she still has her lettuce box. Thankfully I didn't tear it up.
And I did plant lettuce in rows too. For the we had to replant our garden because it didn't come up because it got so cold. And I planted my lettuce in rows this time, and I hope there's seeds still there because we've had so much rain they may have washed away.
Yeah,
Patty.
it's been an adventure.
Patty, what kind of lettuce did you plant?
I plant different kinds. Of course, I can't tell you any of the names of it, but I plant a red lettuce and a yellow lettuce, but it's leaf lettuce. It's,
They're leaf. That's what I was wondering, leaf or head. Yep.
Yeah, it's not head. I like the leaf lettuce because you can pick it and pick it. You have lots of harvest off of it, and you can pick the baby leaves if you want, or you can pick them when they're a little bit bigger. Yeah, and then it'll go to seed, and you can save your seed every year.
We've got a beautiful picture of her lettuce box from last year, and I have no idea how to show it to you. You know, I mean, there's probably a way to pop it up there.
Yeah, it would be that screen share.
Yeah, no. Well, that or that or the overlay thing. But it's beautiful. We love the color of it, and it's tasty.
Yeah, I have a hard time. I can't eat iceberg lettuce anymore after growing and my youngest son, he's eaten mostly the leaf lettuce that we've grown, and he doesn't like iceberg lettuce at all.
Well, I wanted to do the leaf lettuce, and Jeff seems to think that the iceberg lettuce is going to be easier to grow, but I feel like we would have a greater harvest with leaf lettuce, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, and what I like about it.
Go ahead,
Jared.
All right, I will. At the Earth's Bounty Festival this last Saturday, I noticed somebody was selling. They had a huge Coleman cooler out there, and they were selling hydroponic bib lettuce. And I am not a connoisseur of lettuces, but I mean that was a humongous head of. I guess it's a leaf lettuce. I don't know if it is or not, but it's what it looked like to me. And it was just one of those things where the plant looked so appetizing just because of how healthy it looked.
Yeah.
Don't you sell lettuce?
Yeah. I actually sell lettuce at my farmer's market, and I get about $1 an ounce for it.
Okay.
So, but I do clean it and everything. And I put it in Ziploc bags. So, but as far Margie, with the iceberg opposed to the leaf lettuce, what I love about it is when we're making sandwiches for lunch. A lot of times, I go out to the garden and pick a handful of lettuce and come in and rinse it off, and we eat it. You don't, when you pick a head of lettuce, you have the whole head that needs to have something done within a few days.
Right.
And what I do with my lettuce, I have one of the little lettuce washers that you buy at the store. It has a basket inside of a bowl, and you pump a little thing and it spins it around to dry it. But I give it about 2 or 3 good washings, and then I dry it like that, and I take a gallon Ziploc bag and I put a paper towel in it. And after I've spun the lettuce, I put it in a bag, and it will keep, well, sometimes 2 weeks. It depends on how, I don't want to say fresh, because of course I just picked it, but
maybe how quickly you put it away.
Yeah, how quickly I put it away, and the quality of it. When it's top quality, it will last a long time like that. So I really like that aspect.
We've got a comment
and it has
here.
flavor.
Right.
Go ahead.
We've got a comment here. I am not a vegetable connoisseur. Be honest with everybody here, if I haven't said so in my videos at all. I've got 5 kids, and really for us right now, we're just looking at a way to lower some of the grocery bills. And I think a lot of people probably feel that way. My kids eat me out of house and home, and the oldest one's only 9. I mean, good gracious, just imagine 5 years from now when half of them are teenagers. It's a terrifying thought. But anyway, so we had a question here from Whiz Veggie Gardener, or not a question, just a comment here. Whiz Veggie Gardener says that the Swiss chard is great also, and I'm not a connoisseur of vegetables, so someone's going to have to tell me. I know what Swiss cheese is, but what is Swiss chard, and where does it get used?
Margie?
I think Swiss chard is a type of lettuce. It's I don't know enough about it except just where I've seen it in the seed magazines. They're more of like a leaf lettuce, if I'm correct. Maybe they can comment and let us know if I got that right.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I've accidentally planted a lettuce that had a little bit of that bitter taste, and I'm not one that eats greens and spinach and stuff like that. And Tommy is. I cook it for him, and I've planted it before for him. But I had planted something, and I think it might have been Swiss chard, or there's another one that's kind of leafy. I can't call the name of it, but anyway, I don't want to plant that because my taste buds aren't for that little zing of bitterness. But
now, see, I don't think it is a lettuce. I think chard is something. Maybe it's in the same family. I don't know, but
it's like
funny
a spinach.
that
It says that chard is also known as sweet chard, silver beet, spinach beet, crab beet. But it looks like the leaf lettuce.
Okay. Well, I had mentioned to Patty. I don't know if she remembers it. I had mentioned to her one time to look into it because I had seen others on YouTube talking about their Swiss chard lovingly. That hey, this is awesome. And
if you look at my screen there, that's chard.
No, that's not what I planted before then. I have never planted that, but they have sold some of that at the farmer's market. One lady had some of that at the farmer's market. Another thing that I grow is the baby spinach. Now, I love to have that. Even though I don't like to eat the cooked spinach, I do love the baby spinach in a salad.
Yeah, or on a sandwich.
On a sandwich. We eat it just like lettuce.
Yeah, on a sandwich. We're in Mississippi. We say sandwich.
That sounds good.
Okay, guys, now I'm going to interrupt you here, and we do have an actual question here. I'm just going to pull it up because I hate mispronouncing people's names because I've been called Gerard and Jerry and all sorts of things, so I'm not going to insult anybody. And here's the question: do you know what veggie can grow in partial shade? And I know it comes to my mind, but each of you have grown a little bit more than I have, so I think I'll defer to you first. A veggie for partial shade.
I know one thing. It may not qualify as a vegetable, but I know one thing that'll grow in partial shade, total shade. It'll grow in your truck. That's mint.
Yeah, we have a mint problem at our house.
we keep we pull up the mint and throw it somewhere, and next thing you know, it's like the blob, or those little Furby things on that Star Trek episode, Tribbles. The Trouble with Tribbles. It's everywhere. In fact, in the area of our garden where we've applied the mulch, it keeps, we keep finding these little sprigs of mint. So, of course, you step on it and it smells good, but that's probably not a vegetable. But
I have a list here that I've pulled up. Salad greens such as leaf lettuce, arugula, endive, broccoli, cauliflower, peas, beets, Brussels sprouts, radishes, Swiss chard, leafy greens, and beans.
See there?
Can grow in shade.
Yeah, you just have to be careful. I planted my tomato plants. They can take some shade. Like in the morning, mine are shaded. In the late evening, mine are shaded. But what's important is that they're going to get sun in the important hours, like the 10 to 2. That's an important time. One time before we cut trees, my tomato box was close where it got more shade. Well, my tomatoes grew towards the sun because they actually got too much shade. So I think all vegetables can have some shade. It's just not in the important hours because they're gaining nutrients and everything from the sun, and they need it to grow. And I find herbs will make it a lot better in the shade than a lot of plants.
Yeah, our herbs seem to do well in partial shade. And if you're talking about permanently partial shade, or as Patty just described, partial meaning based on time of day.
Mm-hmm.
They may be shaded in the morning and shady again in the evening, and that opens up your options a little bit more if that's what you're talking about.
I think you guys hit on the same thing I was going to mention. I've always heard of your leaf vegetables, your lettuces and such, being okay in partial shade. In fact, a lot of space-saving designs do that. You'll see the trellis for cucumbers with the lettuces underneath, or several other variations on that design. So, and it kind of stands to reason that your mints, your herbs and such, where you're using the leaves, because like what Patty mentioned, the sun, you need more sun when the plant needs more nutrients so that it can then produce the fruit of the plant. And so
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. So
it makes sense.
And you know, a long time ago, and we did it one time, but I vowed to never do it again. We actually planted our peas in with our corn, and it was just such a mess for me to have to get in there and pick. I won't ever do it again. But the old timers used to do that all the time, is plant their peas in between the corn. And because peas kind of run a little bit, and so it would run up the corn. So, I mean, it was after the corn was, got some size on it, so that was shaded.
Let me add this for those who may be watching. None of us are experts. We're just folks and we're learning as we go. We've been, Patty and I have been doing this now for 12 years, something like that. Not to the scale we are now, but 14 or 15 has it been? Yeah, I guess so. 14 or 15 years.
It's okay, Tommy. You remembered your anniversary, so it's okay if you can't remember that.
That's right. I actually know I know her birthday, her social security number, and all that, but I can't remember what I had for breakfast. So it's a trade-off, But anyway, seriously, we use Google. If we have a question, we Google it. It's not like we know everything. Now, our first option, again, if you'll look at as you'll see on our acknowledgments page on our website, our first option is to find an old fella that has been doing it for 80 years and ask them what they do or what they recommend, because that's where the knowledge is.
And and be sure that it's somebody that's in your area, because a lot has to do with the temperature of your soil. So, I mean, if you're in an area where the soil is cold, there will be a lot of things that you can't grow because you need the warmer temperatures. So,
boy, that's a good point. There's viewers of our YouTube channel that are in the great frozen north, and I just,
we're talking about planting our garden twice already, and they haven't even been out to till. So
yeah, I even remember saying something in one of my videos, it was when we were moving the chicks out to the barn, and I said we had a real cold night last night. It got down in the 40s, and I thought while I said that, some of the YouTube subscribers who are in sub-freezing temperatures, sub-zero still somewhere, they're going to think, boy, what a wimp you are. It's all of what you're accustomed to, I suppose.
And when we moved here from Louisiana going on 13 years now, and we had started gardening there, but it was an adjustment for us because the plant, even though we're just an hour and a half north of where we originally living, the temperatures are different here. There's a different planting time now.
Yeah, just that little bit of difference.
I got to play mediator here and jump in. And Prelude Prepper, who has been diligently following us through all of our technical glitches today, has a question for Wisconsin vegetable gardeners there. He's saying Swiss chard is his front garden flowers. Tommy, I think I saw something you shared on Facebook a couple of days ago here about, plant a garden, not lawn, or something like that. I can't remember what the catchphrase was.
Plant gardens, not lawns.
Yeah.
It's a Facebook page and maybe even a larger group. It's grow
gardens, not lawns.
Grow gardens, not lawns. Yeah, it's a big movement for people to replace their lawns with edible stuff, usable stuff. Pretty neat. They come up with some pretty neat stuff.
That's, of course, if it's not against the law in your area to plant food in your front yard.
Yes.
Well, now
it's not against the law here.
I got a question about that. We have another comment pending. Before I get to that, you guys were talking at the very beginning of the broadcast about new legislation that's passed and everything, and I wanted to ask you guys, because I get confused. I deal with enough legislation as my 9 to 5 job that to try to figure out all the agricultural stuff, it confuses me. So right here is yesterday's helping. What's left of the poor thing of our raw filtered goat milk. And what do you guys know where you live? I know from Margie in Georgia. Tommy, do you know anything about Mississippi or federal legislation in general about raw milk, whether it's goats or
you can't sell any kind of cow milk, and
it varies from state to
yeah,
state.
it changes from state to state. In Mississippi, you cannot sell. I don't know if anywhere in the United States that you can sell raw cow milk. Raw goat milk, I have been told that as long as you weren't milking in Mississippi, as long as you were not milking more than 8 goats, that you could sell the milk legally from your farm. But before I would do that, I would check out the legislation before you were to do that.
In Louisiana, you couldn't do that. The only way now you could sell it for pet food,
Animal consumption. Yeah.
for animal consumption only. Somebody wanted to buy some goat milk, they would have to indicate to you that they were going to feed it to their dogs or something. It was illegal to sell raw goat milk in Louisiana for human consumption.
But to the best of my knowledge, in Mississippi, the last I knew, that was the law. But like I said, before I would do anything like that, I would check the law.
Yes, we are not. Nobody go say, but Tommy and Patty said we could sell it. No, we're not saying that. We're telling you to check the law. It's our understanding that.
And
that
Tommy
you
said he
can.
was a police officer, so
Yeah, I used to be the police, but I ain't the police no more.
Well, you need to
But
go
hey,
to.
let me say the other thing that Patty, the important thing that she said, well, the most important thing is check the law. The second important thing she said was from the farm. We are sure, right, Patty, that we can't take the milk from here.
No.
You can't go sell it in the Walmart parking lot, or even transport it to a customer. They have to come to your farm and get it, if we're right that it's legal, so.
what do you know,
But
Margie?
it varies from state to state.
Oh, I have been doing some research on selling cow's milk or goat's milk, and as Patty said, cow's milk, that's, I think, just the big milk type thing that's been going for a long time. You just can't get it. In California, I think there may be some that have really close to raw milk, but it's not raw milk. But again, it's according to your state. You would want to go to your state agriculture, your Department of Agriculture website, and just go to their search bar and search cow's milk or goat's milk, and that's where you're going to be able to find information about what your particular state actually has to say. Now, something that I thought was interesting in the state of Georgia, it seems that there may be an opening or a little loophole for cow shares, where you can share a cow. In some states, that's still considered illegal. But
yeah, it's like a goofy little loophole where you you own a percentage of the cow, and the fact that cow produces milk, you therefore get it for free. So no purchasing of milk ever took hand.
Right, it's like you're actually paying for the farmer, caring for the cow and tending to it and everything. So you would have to still do some research, because there is a website out there that is a milk website that will share a list of different people who offer cow shares or goat shares, if by chance you're interested in something like that. So you'll just Google it. That's what I did. That's how I found that information.
Margie, one thing I want to tell you about the cow milk is that we have a lady that she's from Progress Milk Barn. I can't remember exactly where she's located, but she comes to our farmers market and she actually sells cow milk. They have a dairy and everything's legal and everything, but it's not as pasteurized as much as what the milk is that you buy in the store, and it is not homogenized. So it is, if you're going to purchase milk, hers is a better quality milk.
Right. It wouldn't be classified as raw, but it's closer to raw than what you'll get in the store.
Yeah.
But
it's minimally pasteurized.
It going from cow to person, that's the part that's illegal. If it goes through a pasteurizing process, then There's some people who have gotten waivers through their state to be able to provide it from their farms. I mean, it's I guess according to who you know, and that's the way that a lot of things get done.
I actually talked to her about what you have to do to be able to milk. You know, we have a cow, and we got 2 gallons a day when she was first fresh and everything. And I talked to her about that, and it's just not worth everything. You have to have a pond where your water runs out and everything like that to just be a small producer. Even if I were to go through the trouble of I have a pasteurizer. If I were to go through the trouble of pasteurizing, I'll have to be able to sell it. The way my barn would have to be set up and the way my wastewater would have to be set up, it's economically not feasible.
No, it would be totally cost prohibitive for us.
Right. I think that for most people, though, their interest is just having it for their home, not as much to sell to other people. But that's where if you could find a cow share, that would be perfect. But like I think Florida, I'm pretty sure I read there that it's considered the same as purchasing milk, so it's illegal. So, but in the state of Georgia, I'm not finding anything saying that it's illegal, and so apparently there's some opportunity here, but they seem to be a little lenient, even like with cottage food.
I'm thinking there's an opportunity for bootleg milk. What do you think, Jared?
We're live on YouTube, sir. No comment. No comment.
Yeah.
I got the ex-popo asking me to break the law. What's up with that? So, guys, I think
that was a joke.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
One thing I think
for those of you in Rio Linda, that was a joke.
One thing I think we're learning here is that each state's got something different, because we've got a comment here. We got a comment here I'll share. Raw cow and goat milk can be sold in, I guess that's South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Yeah. There are no restrictions.
That's awesome.
Yeah, apparently they're ahead of the game, so I might have to find me a job up in South Dakota there. But I think you're right that a lot of the things, more people are looking for it for themselves than they are trying to sell it. So it probably doesn't influence them as much. But another comment that was posted was, I think it was a question or a comment, and I'm sorry, guys, it doesn't show it in chronological order for some reason, so it's hard to find your comments. But anyway, somebody had mentioned, forgive me for not putting it up here for you, but maybe you could barter the milk rather than purposefully sell it. And I don't know what kind of technicalities and gray lines you start crossing when you go into something like that.
I think that
legally that can be considered sale. They wouldn't allow the barter. I mean, and on our income taxes, they want to know who's bartered for anything. So, I know they wouldn't allow.
Yeah. I think the only way around that is for you to have a friend who is a friend of the family, where it's considered more of a family type thing, and it is freely given, because whenever something's freely given, then there's no money, nothing of value is exchanged. When there's something of value exchanged, they consider it like income. So
exactly. And what we did, my neighbor drinks skim milk, and when I would make butter and skim the cream off the milk, I always put the skim milk aside for him and gave him the skim milk. He never paid me anything. It's just a neighborly thing. He helps us out all the time. We help him out. We never discuss.
That's bartering.
Well, no. We never discuss. I'm going to give you this gallon of milk, and you're going to come, plant my ryegrass. But that's something he enjoys doing, and we just do things
just
like that for each other. It's just neighborly. And that's legal now, thank God. But I worry about one day that they'll say, you can't even give your milk away. You can't even give
it. Hey, in some places, I think that's already true. And one more thing quickly about you guys were saying, you were making the point, but most people just want it for themselves. They don't want to go through the trouble of that's true. But because it's so onerous for people like us who have the cows, that if we wanted to get in a situation where we could sell it, because it's so onerous and cost prohibitive, that makes it less available to the people who, so it does affect those who are simply looking to consume the milk, because there are fewer of us who are in the financial situation to be able to meet those requirements to provide the milk.
You were mentioning that about this is still legal right now to be able to share. I wanted to bring up a point that is it's not in the United States an issue right now, but it could be, because where things start overseas trickle, especially in Europe. In Europe, they're having a problem right now with their legislators attempting to make illegal the ownership or possession of heritage seeds, or I forget what they call them. It'd be like heirloom seeds. Yeah, if you are in possession of heirloom seeds, then you it would be like a punishable offense. It would be illegal to own them, illegal to sell them, illegal to plant them. And I have something on my YouTube channel. If you would like to go there, there's a little video there where I just did a shout out to one of their channels, saying that in the United States there are people that are supporting them and in their fight against that, and we want to definitely spread that word, because what happens in other parts of the world does impact us eventually, because our legislators go, that's a good idea. Then we can control what quality food that you have access to, and whenever you don't have access to those really top quality produce, you have to go somewhere else to purchase it. And then, of course, when it starts getting mass production, you lose the quality anyway, and then the heirloom seeds would just cease to exist.
Wasn't it something to do with having to register the seeds, that they had to be registered with the government? I just read the first couple paragraphs of the story.
I'm not sure what will be presented to the government. I think that what is the ultimate fear is that eventually it would just be completely illegal for them to have. So they're wanting seed sovereignty. They don't want there to be any legislation or regulation of seeds, which my view is the maker of the garden is God, and that is where the ownership should lie. I don't believe government should have any right to regulate something that was created before they even came into existence. So, but
and he's got the best. He's got better seeds too. Go ahead, Jared.
I think all of us are probably be shocked if you look at your clocks just how quickly time's actually passing on us here. So we got a couple questions that are queued up here. I figured out how I can pin questions now, so I don't have to keep searching for them. So I'm proud of myself. Here's one that was posted a while ago. Nope, that's not the one I meant to show. We'll get back to that one. That's our closer. Just because I figured it out doesn't mean I know how to use it. Have any of you heard of using agricultural gypsum when planting tomatoes? I don't even know what agricultural gypsum is. I think gypsum you hang up on a wall. Is that the same type of gypsum?
Yeah, but you know what?
I've heard of that, but I that's all I can say about it.
If he can clarify before we get off the air, I wonder if he's talking about diatomaceous earth. But that's the only. I mean, diatomaceous earth is not gypsum, but Patty's going to Google it right quick, and we can do something else. What's going to happen when we've done this for an hour, Jared? Are our computers going to blow up, or is the IRS going to say that's it?
No, we are authorized by Google Plus to do this for up to 4 hours. So we could talk.
Well, we ain't doing this 4 hours.
Yeah, I didn't think you were interested.
I still have baking.
We ain't doing it 4 hours.
Oh, Margie.
You asked the question.
All I have to do is eat a bowl of chocolate ice cream, so that's what I'm going to do.
I have some morning glory muffins to bake for a customer to pick up first thing in the morning.
That sounds good.
That sounds good.
Talking about those seeds, though, and hearing you talk about it, Margie, and everything, that's what's happened to milk. It has been regulated to where, if you're passing through town, I couldn't sell you a gallon of milk, because it's illegal. And then, of course, you'd be bringing it over state lines. That would be big time illegal,
Right.
So, but that's where Europe is heading with their seeds, and it's just a shame that they're just going to take that freedom away, just like the milk, just like eggs. I mean, there's so many different things that have been taken away that my pawpaw did.
And it's a strange juxtaposition certain European companies, because I know they current countries, because I know they're also really hammering the GMO seeds. You know, they're burning fields with GMO crops in it. So it's kind of a strange juxtaposition of ideas, where on the one hand they're hammering the GMO stuff, but on the other hand they're wanting to outlaw heritage seeds. So I don't know. I don't understand Europeans. I'm just kidding. I guess we used to be one. I don't understand Europeans when they're not speaking in English.
Here's something interesting that was posted through the Google Plus event back when we were talking about the chard, and it kind of ties into where we were talking about plant gardens, not lawn, or whatever the catchphrase is there, but just about how colorful the stems are. People grow it for ornamentals. So I mean, there's ways to. You don't just have to have a garden; you can have a landscape, and I think that was kind of a neat little thing to point out there.
Hey, yeah, and we can trust. That is from a trusted source. Put that back up. Can you put it back up? Smart.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, that is from a trusted source. I believe that's Erica from the Homestead Bloggers Network.
Mm-hmm.
Ta-da! So she probably knows of what she speaks.
Let's see here. There's so many things to click on.
I'm wondering if Scotty has beamed Margie up. She seems to have disappeared.
I hope she must have left the oven on and we talked too long.
Yeah.
Or maybe she went to turn it on for it to be preheated.
Or she went to go, either that or Eli was pulling the wallpaper down or something. But,
well, you know, as we kind of start winding things down here, I want to explain a little bit more about what this means to us. You know, it's kind of a catchphrase. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe I'm catching the phrase a little too late in the game. But the term prepper, I think that it's probably one of those terms that gets a little overused. And at the same time, you can't help but acknowledge that by having a garden, you're preparing. Whether it's preparing to have food when you can't go to the grocery store, or you're preparing to have a garden or livestock or anything else that you might have, preparing to try to lower your food bill so you're less dependent on having to spend your monetary resources somewhere else. And it's kind of always been a process to me. I have a check and balance system with this, if you will. I don't have humongous silos full of rice and beans so that my family can live for 100 years off of it. To me, it's a recognition that, yes, something could happen even on my property where my livestock and my garden would not be available to me. So I do need to have something stored away. But at the same time, it would be a lot better than, rather than having humongous caches of things stored away, if I could have some living, breathing plants and animals that can provide me that daily sustenance that I need to go about life. And to me, that's kind of where the whole process has evolved to. Now I'm mentally, I hadn't really got this point on my YouTube channel yet, but getting real into this whole concept of the permaculture, like I was talking about earlier, where each thing just feeds another until you get back in the circle. So, you know, if the hurricane came tomorrow and the trees were down across the road out here, I wouldn't have to worry about where I had to go, because I knew that I could just keep completing that chain right here. So I think it's important to me anyway.
You're right, and you mentioned the word hurricane, and I could tell. There's Margie, she's back. You mentioned the word hurricane, and Hurricane Katrina changed our mindset. Now we're 2 hours north of New Orleans, and so, you know, and of course the brunt of the storm hit Waveland, Mississippi, and other points eastward of there. But we were out of power. Was it 10 days? We were out of power here for 10 days in August, and other people in our county, again 2 hours north of New Orleans, were out for 2 weeks, 20 days, things like that. And so we had not really had a prepper mindset, a prepping mindset prior to that, but it woke us up. We did fine, by the way. Patty celebrates when the power goes out. She loves to cook outside and do all that, you know, but that changed our mindset a little bit, and we're like, hey, what if? Think about how, for those of you in our region of the world, how soon on the heels of Katrina, Rita came, and hey, what would happen if Katrina came and then the next weekend or whatever, there's Rita, and then two or three more on top of each other. You could be. It doesn't have to be some nefarious scenario or terrorism, but it could be. It just woke us up to think that, in watching people, even not in an urban center. Our little town here is not an urban center, of course, but even in our little town, watching the almost panic that set in with people, it just occurred to us that if the power goes out for any length of time, what would we do? And one of the first things Patty found was a well bucket. Somebody had made a well bucket out of PVC, and just in case the power goes out on the well. So.
And another thing, I've always, when Tommy and I first got married, I would grocery shop for the month. Of course, I didn't grow any vegetables at that time or anything, but I always had a month's worth of food because he got paid once a month. But so I've always, had plenty on hand and everything. But my goal in the garden is to grow enough for a year. I may not reach my goal, but that is my goal, to grow enough to last us through the year. If I never have to go to the grocery store, I'm fine with that. But we haven't learned to grow wheat yet, and there's certain things that, and I do like chocolate ice cream, and we buy chips sometimes. But anyway, but that is my goal. But one thing that Tommy's forgetting about is that he was out of work.
Yeah.
For a few months, 3 or 4 months, something like that. But the supplies I had on hand, and I didn't really have to, I had to cook. I had to make real food. It wasn't the quick stuff, the no Velveeta cheese and stuff like that. We did go to the store and get some staples, but we lived out of our freezer. We lived out of our pantry, and it helped tremendously to not have to go spend that money at the grocery store.
Because we didn't have it to spend.
Yeah, we didn't have it to spend, but, we didn't go hungry.
Right.
All right, so let me take a quick look here. No real new comments here. I'm curious, Margie. You said that you're busy all through Mother's Day. What's your biggest order that you've got, or your most popular item this weekend?
Well, I have a customer who he has adopted many mothers, so he has requested a full coconut cake, old-fashioned coconut cake for his mother, and then he wants me to bake 2 dozen raspberry-filled coconut cupcakes to put in boxes of 4 for his adopted mother. So that's my biggest order. That'll keep me busy, in a day, getting those filled and ready for him. He was the one that I had 80 cupcakes, which were 4 different types of specialty cupcakes, and he did something similar for Easter for the elderly people from his church. So it's been wonderful just connecting with people like that who have a heart to reach out to other people who may not have their children close or whatever the case is. But then
that's neat.
So that's the biggest order I have.
Well, Jared, we've been rambling for an hour, mostly me, I guess, but you said you had a wrap-up comment or a wrap-up question.
There is.
Did my eyes look heavy because remember I told you I'm old.
Well, we'll forgive you.
I'm going to start drooling here in a minute.
Here's a couple comments. I think first, let me share these, and then we'll kind of do a little roundtable. Let each one of us have a last word, I guess. But just some spout-offs here. Marine Corps Nomad says that raw milk can be sold or purchased legally in 10 different states. There's apparently a website there, realmilk.com, that we could check out for some more information.
Yeah, that's the website, yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure share that with everybody. And then Here again, Prelude Pepper would like us to know that milk is now the new moonshine.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll send you a private message there, Prelude.
But
We'll have it going on, man.
Here's the wrap up, and it's a perfect transition out for us. Are we going to do these shows regularly? So that's kind of going to put our group here on the spot because we had not discussed this too much. When do you guys?
It depends on how you define regularly.
Well, I imagine. Do we want to talk about doing these once a month? Do we want to talk about doing these every 2 weeks? What kind of? I can tell you that we've had an average of 12 viewers. That actually is pretty satisfying to me.
Good.
Wow, that is too.
I'm open. Yeah. I mean, I'm Eastern time. Just keep in mind that I'm an hour later than you are, and other than that.
but hey, but I get Facebook. I wake up in the morning and see that I've gotten Facebook messages from you at all hours of the night.
So
I do not feel sorry for you.
I
do not feel sorry for you.
I am a mother of a 9-month-old child, so once my two men are gone to bed, then that's when I actually wake up and do what I need to do. So I'm up anyway.
James, thank you for asking that. We appreciate your kind word.
Yes.
I would answer it for my part this way. If you define regularly as again, yes, we can tell you certainly that we'll do it again. Frequency is going to be determined because I'm very anxious. Once we sign off, I'm anxious to go see how much of my allotted satellite bandwidth I've used, and that'll determine how often. Right now my inclination is maybe once a month. And we'll just have to see, or maybe for shorter time periods. Which this has just been a rambling thing, We would think, Jared, I'll let you discuss that. That in the future we may have more targeted hangouts to discuss particular topics, so that we don't just ramble. And certainly we'll hopefully have our technical issues ironed out too.
If we could get comments, like even the comments that we get during one session, if we save those and cover them in the next session, that would give us questions to be able. The only negative is those that are watching, they may want an answer right away. So that's the only concern with that.
Well, but at the same time, Margie, I think that's an excellent point of view because not everybody's going to be able to watch this live. I mean, we may well have comments days from now that we can then readdress the next time that we do that we have a hangout. So
that's true.
And we need to keep in mind Pepper too. As far as his time, he was saying, I don't know if daytime is even an option. I mean, it's an option for me, but he was saying daytime would be better for him.
I could probably, during on my lunch time, if we're not talking about doing it every day,
right.
If we're talking about doing it once a month or whatever, we can just schedule it during my lunch time would be fine with me.
So there you go. The answer is yes. We're going to do this again. We just need to discuss offline a little bit more about the organization of it. So I think my wrap up for this would be go and please subscribe to our individual channels because there's just no telling which one of us is going to be on the ball enough to notify you first of when we're actually going to do one of these things. So please. Once this live broadcast is over and I can edit the description of the video, I'll make sure there's individual links to each person's channel so you can have an opportunity to go and subscribe to those. I'd like to do one last shout out before we sign off. I have recently got involved with a local group. Tommy turned me on to this. He got all excited one day and shared with me this gargantuan named organization called oh goodness, I can't even remember it. But
Gaining Ground.
Thank you. Gaining Ground. Sustainability Institute of Mississippi. GGSIM. And thank goodness the local chapter is called Go Green Meridian because I can remember that every day of the week. But they are underway of doing something amazing. I think it's certainly been done before in many places, but I've never in the 7-8 years we've lived here heard of it locally. They are going to start a community garden. Or at least they're in the first stages of it. So it's just a matter of getting that participation and things going. So I know that's probably a lot more common in other places of the country, maybe other places around the world. But for us, that's kind of a big deal, and I think it kind of is one of those things where it just knits together. It just makes sense if you're gonna. I think the same mindset of people that would want to garden are also the same mindset of people that would want to be around other people who want to garden. So I think it'll work out really well.
Sure.
So that's my little shout out for them.
Great.
And you guys go ahead.
Well, it's just funny that you say that. We actually, I learned today, I didn't even tell Patty this, I didn't think about it because, again, I forget what I have for breakfast. But the Southwest chapter was having a meeting in Macomb tonight. And I chose to skip it to be here with you fine people. But hopefully there is not a chapter in the county we live in. It's going to be in the county just south of us. But I've asked them to keep me posted on future meetings, and who knows? It's just you learn from people. That's
right.
I mean, we mentioned Google earlier, but you learn from people, people who have done it and succeeded. So anyway, we've enjoyed it, guys, and look forward to doing it again.
Margie, are you still there, Margie?
I
It went to a banner. Okay.
Yeah, I posted the banner because I did spell YouTube a little differently, so I want people to be able to see whenever they look for my channel, they need to look for my YouTube, that's you with the actual letter U, Tube 912, and it is a home for my mini hats. You can find me on YouTube, and there I have quite a number of posts on basic technology, how-tos, of course, baking, and baby-related things. So I have several different playlists there, and definitely encourage you to come to my channel and see what I have.
All right, thank you, ma'am. And that answers another question that just popped up. What's the link for the cottage one? So there you have it. That is my Margie's Kitchen, the My YouTube 912. So you've got her there. And then one last thing before we say goodnight to everybody, some encouragement for the group. Y'all, like Tommy mentioned, none of us consider ourselves experts. We may have been working at this for a little bit, and we may be of the desire to help other people, but sometimes, I know at least personally, I get a little discouraged. So I'd like to thank you for this comment. Nice to see such good info in one place.
Thank you.
How about that?
I appreciate that a lot. That's inspiration to put up with the technical glitches at least one more time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
Any last comments?
And that's it. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you all very much. Have a good day.
See y'all later.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.